Are you prepared to surrender your peaceful slumber? If you're seeking a spine-chilling experience, abandon the thought of a good night's rest and prepare to be consumed by the harrowing tales of these highway horror stories that will haunt your every waking moment. In the midst of her journey, Gianna's mind wandered, briefly catching sight of a peculiar sight. A man, drenched by the rain and swallowed by darkness, dashed through the downpour. Questions formed in her mind, puzzling over why he ran without his shirt and shoes. As she neared the end of her almost 3-hour trip from Dallas to Austin, her focus shifted to meeting her friends for a concert. The access road along Interstate 35 guided her, and when she spotted the man 2 blocks ahead, jogging steadily on the shoulder of her side of the road, curiosity enveloped her thoughts. Suddenly he twisted his head, piercing her gaze through the windshield. A ghastly sight confronted her, a mutilated face and torso, marred by long, deep gashes stretching from his left shoulder to his midriff. Blood cascaded down his hairline, merging with raindrops to form a crimson stream flowing into his left eye. The torn, blood-soaked shorts clung to his body, besmirched with mud, but what truly struck terror and confusion was the expression etched upon his face. His mouth contorted into an unnatural smile, and his lowered head allowed his gaze to penetrate her eyes, nearly hidden beneath his arched eyebrows. Her mind spun, attempting to piece together this nightmarish puzzle. An incomprehensible image materialized before her. An incompletely dressed man jogging calmly, his body ravaged by injuries, while wearing an unsettling countenance. Gianna's instinct urged her to accelerate, switch lanes, yet before she could react, the man abruptly threw himself in front of her car. Time froze, leaving her with no opportunity to respond. At 35 miles per hour, it felt as if she collided with a massive speed bump at full force. She could feel his body beneath both sets of tyres, accompanied by the sickening sound of breaking branches, though she knew it was the man's bones. A deafening scream tore through the air, escaping Gianna's lips as her body jolted forward. Her purse plummeted to the passenger side floor, disgorging its contents while she slammed on the brakes, eventually coming to a halt 30 yards ahead, her rearview mirror capturing the motionless figure. It wasn't until she brought her trembling hand to her mouth that she recognized the scream as her own. Paralyzed with fear, unsure if it stemmed from the horror that she'd just witnessed or the disconcerting expression on the man's face, Gianna remained trapped in her vehicle, engine idling, too terrified to turn back and assess his condition. Her gaze fixated on the rearview mirror, piercing through the heavy drizzle and the glow of her tail lights. Through the haze, she discerned a slight movement in his right foot. Finally, snapping out of her daze, her hands trembling violently, she unfastened her seatbelt and fumbled on the floorboard for her cell phone. With shaky fingers, Gianna dialed 911, her voice quivering as she recounted the gruesome incident to the operator. The operator inquired if she could detect any signs of life, prompting her to twist in her seat for a glance. Yet to her bewilderment, the man's body had vanished. A surge of dread washed over her, draining the blood from her body. As she turned her attention back to the front, she found the man's contorted form lurking just outside her door. One blood-soaked hand pressed against the window, while the other reached for the door handle. Silence enveloped the phone call, leaving Gianna in a state of sheer terror. The drive from Midland, Texas to Albuquerque, New Mexico is incredibly dull and flat. It's known as one of the most monotonous stretches of road in the western United States. Brace yourself for a grueling 6-hour journey through scorching desert and unbearable heat. And if you're really unlucky, you might encounter a Texas dust storm that will make you feel like you're in hell. In July of 2013, Jerry was only an hour into his trip to meet his father in Albuquerque. He had an important task of signing some estate documents. Little did he know, he was about to experience a different kind of hell. As the sky darkened, he noticed the wind picking up with sudden, fierce intensity. The wind turbines along the abandoned freeway spun furiously. A massive funnel of dust was heading straight for Jerry's Nissan Pathfinder. He wondered if it would be strong enough to push his car. With the dust storm engulfing his SUV and obscuring the road, Jerry had to slow down to a crawl. Suddenly, he spotted a figure standing in the middle of the road ahead. He couldn't believe his eyes. How could anyone even survive in such a harsh environment? The wind and sand roared round his car as the figure approached. It came into focus, and Jerry saw something chilling. The man's mouth hung open, as if his jaw had become unhinged. There was no expression on his face, but his black eyes locked onto Jerry's. Desperate to get away, Jerry tried to speed up, hoping the man, if he could even be called that, would move aside. But no matter how fast he went, the figure remained right in front of his car. Its hand reached out, its mouth filling with sand. Then a piercing, otherworldly scream erupted from the man's mouth, blending with the howl of the sandstorm. Jerry, overcome with terror, covered his ears and shut his eyes tight. Abruptly, the storm ceased, leaving behind an eerie silence. When Jerry opened his eyes, the man had vanished. Without wasting a moment, he fled from that place as fast as he could. He vowed to never travel that road again, even if it meant taking a longer route. The haunting image of the sand-filled mouth tormented Jerry in his nightmares, a constant reminder of the horrors it witnessed. Hold on tight for story 3, but only if you're ready to embark on an epic journey with us. If this video has you begging for more thrills and excitement, then it's time to hit that subscribe button and unleash a wave of mind-blowing content straight to your screen. Don't miss out on the wild ride that awaits you. Subscribe now and buckle up for endless entertainment. He was just a 9-year-old boy when his family embarked on a treacherous journey from California to Washington State. The purpose was simple: his father's new job at Boeing. Road trips had always held a sense of excitement for him. His brother and he would engage in games like I Spy or count license plates from different states. A small reward of a nickel awaited them whenever they spotted captivating wildlife or a deer along the way. This incentive helped stave off the incessant chorus of "Are we there yet?" that echoed through the car every 10 minutes. Approximately 2 hours into their drive, an unsettling whisper escaped his mother's lips, reaching his ears. "Ron, the car trailing us has been following for the past 45 minutes, matching our every lane change," she uttered, her voice laced with concern. Casting a brief glance at the dark blue Trans Am with its faded hood trailing behind them, his father nonchalantly dismissed her worries. "I'm sure they're just heading in the same direction as us. You worry too much," he reassured her. His eyes returned to the road. However, his mother's eyes, visible through the rearview mirror, betrayed a lingering unease that refused to subside. As the day slowly waned, they made a final pit stop for gas before embarking on the last leg of their journey to Seattle. Stretching their legs outside the vehicle, they relished the respite. Upon their return to the car, his eyes caught sight of the same blue Trans Am idling ominously by the side of the gas station. Silence enveloped him, and he chose to withhold his disquieting revelation from his parents. He couldn't bear to question his father's certainty about the car not tailing them, yet a sense of foreboding crept into his heart, aligning him with his mother's trepidation. Regret would later consume him, the knowledge that he should have spoken up. As twilight descended, they merged back onto the freeway, the headlights of the Trans Am still shadowing their every move. Gradually crept closer. Panic seized his mother, and she could no longer conceal her frustration with his father. "Ron, that car is still following us. They stopped when we did, and now they're getting nearer," she admonished him. Her exasperation was palpable. Both he and his brother turned simultaneously, peering over the back seat to confirm her words. His father's stern voice bellowed, breaking the silence. "Turn around this instant!" Fear consumed them. Their terror was now unabated, and the Trans Am's lights grew uncomfortably close, causing his father to assert, "I'm putting an end to this." Yet before he could make a move, his mother interjected with urgency, "Don't you dare do anything foolish!" Suddenly, a jolt reverberated through their car, followed by another. The driver behind them was intentionally ramming into their vehicle. Panic gripped his mother, her hysterics echoing throughout the enclosed space. Determined, his father accelerated, but so did the Trans Am, rendering their station wagon no match for the relentless pursuit. Desperation filled the air until suddenly a glimmer of hope emerged. The blue lights of a police car illuminated the night from the shoulder of the road. The Trans Am ceased its assault, but stubbornly maintained its position right behind them. "Pull over in front of the police car, Ron!" His mother screamed. Her anxiety was escalating. At this point, both he and his brother were in tears, clinging to each other for solace. Responding to his mother's plea, his father swiftly maneuvered the car to halt in front of the police vehicle. The officer, engaged in a conversation with an unfortunate woman who'd committed a minor traffic violation, suddenly shifted his attention to the unfolding drama. Sensing danger, the Trans Am revved its engine, vanished into the night. The police officer, drawing his weapon, approached his father, who'd cautiously stepped out of his vehicle with his hands raised in surrender. After explaining the situation, his father's words convinced the officer to accompany them to the next town, although the Trans Am had mysteriously vanished from sight. A few miles down the road, they neared an abandoned gas station. Dread swept over them once more. Their eyes widened in terror as the Trans Am materialized before them, lying in wait. The police officer, too, noticed the menacing vehicle and veered off the road, initiating a high-speed pursuit. The Trans Am driver, refusing to surrender, accelerated and leaving the officer trailing behind. As for his family, they continued their journey, fraught with anxiety, for an entire week. Nights were spent huddled together on the floor of their parents' room, their senses on high alert, startled by any unexpected sound. The question that lingered in his mind haunted him relentlessly. What would have transpired if that officer hadn't appeared? The mere thought sent shivers down his spine, chilling him to the core. Prepare yourself for a spine-chilling revelation that will send shivers down your spine, for within the realm of horror tales lies a far more bone-chilling abyss. Behold the dire consequences that await should you dare to abandon the haunting allure of our videos and embrace a life devoid of their captivating grip.